We have here some sunflower seeds. You see our sunflower seed, tiny seeds, okay? And along with that, we have some sunflowers. Whoop. There we go. Everybody see our sunflowers here? Okay, well, these tiny seeds had to do something. These small seeds had to become all that they could be. They had to reach their full potential. And what's the potential? Our beautiful sunflowers. Well, our gospel this morning is about each one of us. Each one of us here this morning reaching our full potential, becoming all that we can be. Now remember the gospel. The disciples gathered together, and this was Jesus' first appearance to them after his death and resurrection. They were locked in a room out of fear. And Jesus comes in the middle of them and said, "Peace be with you. Don't be afraid anymore. Don't be afraid." And notice there was no anger in Jesus' voice. He wasn't angry with them for the fact that they had abandoned him when he was arrested, taken away, crucified. No. He understood them. He accepted them for what they were. And that's okay. Everything's all right. Now, these are the same disciples that truly did abandon him. They were nowhere to be found once they came to get Jesus. Nowhere. The gospel tells us it's only the women that were there. The women, Jesus' mother and the others, they were at the cross when Jesus was put to death. And Peter was so afraid, he denied he even knew Jesus 3 times. I don't even know him. And the strange part of it is, Jesus told him beforehand exactly what Peter was going to do. He said, "You'll deny me." And sure enough, Peter did that. Now Jesus accepts us today the same way he did the apostles that day. He accepts us with all our fears and our doubts and our past sins. He accepts us in all our weakness. Very simply, we bring who we are to Christ. We bring who we are to Christ, and that's okay. Remember, this was God's choice. God was the one that chose to come into this world. So there must be something. If God chose to come into this world with all its mess and confusion and everything else going on, there must be something good about each one of us. Second half of the gospel concerns Thomas. And remember, Thomas was the apostle that said he wouldn't believe until he saw Jesus himself. He wouldn't believe that Jesus had risen from the dead. And Jesus comes. You see, Thomas was much like a lot of us. Thomas thought he had things figured. Here's what happens. When people die, that's it. But this Jesus wouldn't stay dead, would he? That was the problem. Jesus wouldn't stay dead. And Thomas had an awful time trying to accept that. This isn't the way I had it figured. That isn't the way it's supposed to be here. And all Jesus does was come and just give Thomas some help. Give Thomas the help that he needed to believe, that he needed to go on and reach his full potential, and become all that he could be. And that's what Jesus did for all the disciples. He just helped them. And they all went on to do wonderful things. And Peter did give his life for his master, Jesus Christ. Just needed some help. You see, God accepts us the way we are, but always calls us to do more. God accepts us who we are and all our weaknesses, but always is there calling us to do more. Calling us to reach our full potential, to be the best followers of Christ we possibly can be. Just like the seeds. Remember the example of the seeds. The seeds had to become something more. Huh? They couldn't just stay seeds. They had to go on to become that, to become the flowers. And this is basically what God is calling us to do. Become all that we can be. Maybe an example will help. Some years ago, Norma found herself in a tough situation. She was all alone with many small children, and of course, no money. But through it all, somehow, she must have been able to hold on to her faith in God. Because she came to the conclusion that somehow God was calling her. God was telling her to become more, to become the best possible parent she could be. To do that, she went out and found herself employment. And with her employment, she was able to provide a safe home for her children and food on the table. Well, the challenges kept on coming, that's for sure. But what also kept going was the growth of her faith in God. Her faith in God just continued to grow. And she used every opportunity she could to make sure that she shared that with her children. And recently I saw Norma again, and she was there in church, this time with her grandchild, just passing on that faith in the power of God. Challenges are a part of our lives, just like they were for Norma. One thing we can say about challenges and problems in life is that we always have enough of them, don't we? Huh? Might be short of some others, might be short of money, but we're rich in challenges. But just like Norma, we have to decide which direction we want to go. And we can't decide, we can't overcome the challenges if we lose sight of the goal, if we lose sight of what we want to be. We can't get stuck in the challenges. God calls us to be all that we can be, to be the best possible follower of Christ that we can be to reach our full potential. And we can't get stuck. We can't get stuck in all the challenges that come before us. We got to keep our eye on the goal. Now remember again the help that God gave to Thomas and the other disciples. And that same kind of help is right there for us today. So as we continue this morning now and prepare to share in the body and the blood of Christ, let's ask our God for the help we need. Ask our God for the help that we need to be the best follower of Christ that we can be.